the favorite family comedy, The Churchill Show, aired on NTV last night. The reason? The main attraction was controversial self-proclaimed prophet Kanyari, who was in the spotlight in November of last year. An investigative story by KTN exposed the manner in which Kanyari exploited many Kenyans in the name of God. Danish Odongo, a digital media strategist working for Capital FM, joins us for this. But first, here are some of the excerpts from last night's Churchill Show.
Hii nguo ninavaa kusema ukweli, hata hii kiatu haiko Kenya. And you are not apologizing. Hizi si za Kenya, zingine nimenunuliwa from outside. Yes. People they give me. I'm driving Range Rover Sports. Range Rover nimepatiwa na mama ambaye alikuwa hapatagi mtoto. Mungu akampatia. Wanasema Kanyari alishika mwanamke matiti. Sikatai, ni ukweli. Sikia nikwambie. Huyu mama alikuja kanisani, akona kansa. Yeye pamoja na bwana yake wakakuja kanisani. That's right. Wakati unataka kuombea mtu, kama pengine anaumwa na kichwa, unaguzaga kichwa. Yes. Lakini kama mtu akona shida, akona kansa ya matiti, jamani, ningeguza kichwa ama ningeguza matiti? I got 6 million. Yeah. Mimi nilikuwa nafanya kazi ya mjengo, nikapata 6 million offering. Niliombea mtu akauza shamba. Yeah. Na nilipouzia ule mtu akauza shamba in Karen, akanipa sadaka ya 6 million. Sadaka ya 6 million nikajenga shule ya watu ambao walemavu ambao iko pande ya Ruai and still inaendelea. Choka Ruai. I have those pictures.
You've listened in case you missed the show last night, a show that airs on NTV every Sunday. It's a favorite, in fact, the biggest comedy show in the country. And Danish Odongo, he writes an interesting piece on this in his blog. He is a digital media strategist and he works for Capital FM. Thank you, Danish, for being patient and waiting on this. As you watch this show, what came to you? What responses did you have?
I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy, Mark. I mean, anyone who has tear ducts needed to shed some tears, because there's no way we can take a man who was clearly exposed to be a conning the less privileged in society, and therefore we take him and put him on the limelight, sanitize him, and make everything that is done look cool. I mean,
how was he sanitized?
I mean, you know, comedy is a powerful tool. If you can laugh at something, then it becomes normal. I mean, and the person who hosts the show, Churchill, is quite an influential man. I mean, the show is one of the most watched shows in Kenya. And therefore, if you take someone like that and put him on a limelight with a person who is influential in Kenya, it makes everything that is done before to look okay and to look normal. Therefore, anybody can then follow the trail. Yeah.
Within the context of this, it is a funny show. It is comedy. It is meant to be, you know, loosened up. Nothing is taken seriously. So this, in many cases, for some other people's explanation, would be of interest in terms of comic relief, because they can't believe this guy. How can he say these things in public?
And I think that's a problem, because there are things that we can't laugh about. Somebody touching a lady who's got a breast cancer openly, how do we laugh about that? How do we laugh about somebody who steals from the poor? How do we laugh about someone who's bragging that somebody went and sold land and brought 6 million shillings? You don't even know why that man, sold the land. We can't laugh about these things. There's so many things we can laugh about, but not this one. This is something that needs to get Kenyans talking. In fact, I'm not against Kanyari coming on the show, but he should have been put to task to explain what he has done and why he decided to take the path that he decided to take.
You've mentioned, you've mentioned something, sorry to cut you short, but you've mentioned something about getting Kenyans talking. Yes. And isn't this what the show producers would have been able to achieve in this particular instance, where they had him on, he said what he said, he was very comfortable, and hence it brought out the truth from within the man himself, prophet, self-proclaimed prophet.
I mean, the way he was held by Churchill was not meant to begin a serious conversation. It was meant to make this man, who has conned Kenyans, a hero. Because he introduced him like, hate him or love him. He's a man, he drives a Range Rover. The introduction in itself already sanitized the man. Therefore, when he was coming on the platform, he was coming with the mentality of justifying whatever it is he done. And you can clearly see that the man never had any remorse on any single thing he's done. For me, I think he's taking a mockery of every single tear that Kenyans who are taking advantage of shed. I think for Kenyans, we shouldn't laugh about anything like that.
Right.
Let's not even bring him anywhere. I mean, if we have to bring him anywhere, let's put him to task and have a serious discussion.
He was actually supposed to come on the trend with Larry Madowo a few weeks back, and last minute, of course, he sent a text saying that he wouldn't be able to make it. And this, you would expect, was going to be a one-on-one discussion, hard-hitting questions, and getting those answers out there. In a way, giving him a platform where he's comfortable, he'll say whatever seems preposterous to the Kenyan audience. Isn't this another way of getting information from him?
No. You know, I mean, you have to get information. I mean, like the kind of information you want must fit the context. Like whatever he did, the right context should have been on the trend. I mean, Larry is a great interviewer. He would have brought the right questions. I know the man would have been put to task to explain what he did. But then now bring him on a comical show. Therefore, he can make a joke. He can laugh about touching a lady's breast. He can laugh about, you know, conning Kenyans and saying he's from two drop off. There's nothing wrong with that. But then when you laugh about these things, it looks possible. It looks like kinda okay. And therefore, many fake preachers in Kenya, therefore, who use the name of God in vain, can now say that Kanyari did it and they got away with him. In fact, he was given a national platform, he was sanitized, and therefore he's a hero, and Kenyans love it. That's the only problem I have with the whole story.
You're a blogger, you're a writer yourself, and you, of course, follow the interests of the public on such stories.
Yes.
And you can see whenever there's a video posted of Kanyari himself or a story or a development, there's a lot of traffic in terms of discussion on the same man. So then what does this, how is this explained in terms of public interest? The very reason people really read the articles, watch the videos, comment on this is because you're interested in this, wouldn't you say?
Not necessarily. I think that's the lie that has been sold to the media. I mean, I've been writing my articles, very serious article on capitalfm.co.ke. I've been doing stories about, you know, people who have got cancer. I've been doing stories about, I did a story about Sonko. I've done stories that are serious. And they're getting traffic, 45,000 views. We're talking about 900 shares on Facebook. We're talking about 700 on Facebook. And therefore, it doesn't necessarily have to be a story that is sensational and you know, has a cloud of controversy around it for it to sell. Though the media loves such kind of stories, they take it with a big spoon and therefore they make it because sensationalism sells. But I think far beyond the traffic and the views, we need to begin to think of the moral fabric and every effect that whatever it is that we are airing, I mean, results in whether it restores the moral fabric or it destroys it. Something like Kanyari's story, even though it's sensational and it brought the traffic, at the end of the day, the damage is far, far much more than the laughter, the 5 minutes laughter that we can get from that. Therefore, it's all about responsibility. It's all about knowing the platform you have as a big thing and knowing that you can say something that can influence the nation, either positively or negatively.
Your recommendation on this, because you've written an extensive article on this, what's your recommendation? A total blackout on such individuals?
I mean, I would easily go for that, but now it's impossible. There are so many blogs that are thriving on such stories. But on the contrary, I want Kenyans to be truthful people. Let us begin to examine our hearts, and let's begin to ask ourselves tough questions. Why would we begin to celebrate people like Kanyari? Why would we begin to hail socialites and people who are not doing a meaningful contribution to the society? Therefore, let's begin to insist on content that is wholesome, content that is able to take the nation to the next level. I mean, Vision 2030 is a pipe dream if we laugh at Kanyari's jokes. Check out capitalfm.co.ke. The articles we write are actually very serious articles, and we get a lot of traffic at the end of the month. We don't really need to write twerking stories and Kanyari stories and, you know, such hilarious and sensational.
And Danish, you'll certainly get more traffic since you've announced it on national television about 3 times. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for waiting on and giving and sharing your thoughts. At Danish Odongo, you can follow him on Twitter and also get to see his articles that he writes for Capital FM and also for himself.